All right, let's talk about one of the most fascinating and frankly confusing stocks out there right now, Adobe. You've got this software giant, a true monopoly in its space, but the market is treating it like it's about to fall off a cliff. So what's the real story here? That's the mystery we're going to try to solve today. So it all boils down to this one huge question. Is Adobe a dying business, about to be wiped out? Or is this one of those rare generational buying opportunities that people talk about for years? It's not an easy answer, for sure. But my goal here is to give you the tools, the framework, to make that call for yourself. Okay, to really get why people are panicking, you have to look at this number. We're talking a 57% drop from its peak. I mean, think about that. For a monster company like Adobe, a titan worth hundreds of billions, a fall like that is basically a code red on Wall Street. It's not just a dip, it's the market screaming that something is deeply, deeply wrong. But, and this is where it gets really interesting, here's the twist. While everyone's running for the doors, some of the smartest, most contrarian investors out there, I'm talking about people like Michael Burry, the guy from The Big Short who called the 2008 crash, they're not selling, they're buying, quietly. So you have this huge disconnect, and that's exactly what we're gonna dig into. Okay, so before we get to why someone like Barry is buying, we have to do the opposite. We need to understand the fear. Let's put on our market goggles and see exactly why Wall Street thinks Adobe is headed for disaster. And the valuation right now is just wild, seriously. Adobe is trading at a price you'd expect for like an old school railroad company that's slowly fading away. So let's be super clear on this. The market isn't just saying, oh, growth might slow down a bit. No, the market is pricing this stock as if its revenue is about to completely fall off a cliff. So why? Why this level of panic? Well, it all starts with a major warning shot that came from a business right next door. You see, to really understand the threat to Adobe's tools like Photoshop, you first have to look at what AI has already done to the stock photo industry. It's not pretty. Just look at these numbers. It's absolute devastation. We're talking about a $14 billion industry that got vaporized down to just over $3 billion in a few short years. Adobe's own stock photo business got crushed, down 82%. So for an investor looking at this, the AI threat isn't some far-off theoretical thing. It's a real-world monster that just ate an entire industry for lunch. And it's not just that one thing. It's like they're fighting a war on multiple fronts at the same time. You've got these incredible AI tools popping up from Google, from OpenAI, making it super easy for anyone to create stuff. Then the CEO who masterminded their last big success story is heading out the door. And as if that's not enough, you've got regulators breathing down their neck over their subscription model. It's basically a perfect storm of bad news. Okay, so the case for doom and gloom? It's pretty strong, I get it. But then you do something crazy. You ignore the headlines for a second, and you actually look at their financial reports. And it's like stepping into a totally different universe. So now, let's build the bull case, and we're starting with the cold, hard numbers. Get this. In the middle of all this panic, Adobe just reported record revenue, $6.4 billion in a single quarter. That's up 12% from last year. I mean, come on, does that sound like a dying company to you? It's the exact opposite of what the market's telling us. And this next number, it really shows you how powerful their business is. An 89.4% gross margin. That is just incredible. Let me put that in simple terms. For every dollar you pay Adobe, it costs them barely 10 cents to deliver that software to you. The rest is profit. That is a cash printing machine, and it gives them a huge war chest to fight back and invest. So what are they doing with all that cash they're printing? Well, they just announced a $25 billion stock buyback program. That is a massive statement. It's management basically walking onto Wall Street and saying, you think our stock is cheap? We agree, and we're putting our money where our mouth is. They are betting on themselves in a huge way. And just a quick explainer here, especially if you're kind of new to investing. A stock buyback is super important. The company uses its own cash to buy its own stock off the market. Fewer shares floating around means your slice of the pie, your share, becomes bigger and more valuable. It's a huge vote of confidence from the insiders who know the company better than anyone. Plus, it's a neat bit of financial engineering that pushes their earnings per share number higher. But look, they know they can't just sit back and buy stock. That's not a real strategy. They have to actually fight back against this AI threat head on. And it turns out they've got a really clever plan already in motion. And this right here, this is their secret weapon. They looked at AI tools like Midjourney and saw the big weakness. They're trained on all sorts of random stuff scraped from the internet, which is a legal nightmare for a big company. So Adobe did the opposite. They built their AI, called Firefly, using only content they have the rights to. So when they sell it to a big corporation, they're not just selling a cool tool, they're selling peace of mind. They're selling legal protection. They're basically saying, use our stuff, and if you get sued over copyright, we've got your back. For a company like Disney or Coca-Cola, that is a huge deal. And here's the other really smart move they're making. They realized, hey, we can't outspend Google and Microsoft building these giant AI models. It's just not our game. So instead, they decided to become the essential hub for all these AI tools. Think about it. They own Photoshop. They own Premiere Pro. The professionals are already there. So they can plug in anyone's AI model on the back end, but they still control the customer and the workflow. It's genius. They're basically turning their biggest competitors into a feature inside their own product. So you see the problem here, right? We have two totally different stories. On one side, you have the market screaming, this company is dead. And on the other, you have a financial powerhouse with a really clever comeback plan. And that's the dilemma every investor has to wrestle with right now. And you know what? Adobe isn't alone in this. What they're facing is part of a much bigger fear that's rattling the whole tech industry. Some people are calling it the SaaS apocalypse. You know, SaaS, software as a service. The big fear isn't just that AI will help us do our jobs faster. The fear is that AI agents will just do the jobs instead of us, meaning companies won't need to buy as many software subscriptions or seats anymore. The best example of this is Salesforce. They're kind of like the Adobe of the sales world, a huge, dominant software company. And guess what? Their stock is getting hammered for the exact same reason. This fear that AI will reduce the number of salespeople who need their software. And their response? The exact same playbook as Adobe. Use their mountains of cash to buy back a ton of their own stock. You're seeing the big established software companies making the same defensive move. Okay, so this is it. This is the choice you have to make as an investor over the next few years. The bull case, the reason to buy, is that you're getting a cash printing monopoly at a bargain price. Their AI strategy seems to be working, and you've got that huge $25 billion buyback acting as a safety net. The bear case, the reason to sell or stay away, is that free open source AI could destroy their legal advantage, and that the SaaSopolis is real, that AI agents will just shrink their market forever. It could be a classic value trap, where a stock looks cheap but just keeps getting cheaper. So in the end, it really comes down to this. Who do you believe? Do you believe the market, which is pricing in future disaster and saying Adobe is a dinosaur about to go extinct? Or do you believe what investors like Michael Burry see right now? A cash printing machine, a monopoly that's on sale at a historic discount. That's the billion-dollar question you've got to figure out for yourself. And finally, just a quick and really important reminder, this explainer was put together for educational and informational purposes only. It is not financial advice. All investing involves risk, and you should always, always do your own thorough research and maybe even talk with a professional before making any investment decisions. Thanks for tuning in.